The James Show Podcast.
And for our all-day listeners, I know you've heard the soundbite 10 times already today, but there's a lot of new people that haven't heard this yet. They're going to hear it for the first time. So it's going to start off with Jasmine Crockett. We got to go back to this. She was on the floor of the House of Representatives and made an accusation that all these people in the GOP were taking political donations from Jeffrey Epstein,
who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly. Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio.
She was busted because a few minutes later she had to walk on to CNN and they said, hey, it wasn't the Jeffrey Epstein. You want to fix this?
You mentioned Lee Zeldin there. He's now a cabinet secretary. He responded and said it was actually Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who's a doctor that doesn't have any relation to the convicted sex trafficker. Unfortunate for that doctor, but that is who donated to a prior campaign of his. Do you want to correct the record on the people that...
Listen, I never said that it was that Jeffrey Epstein. Just so that people understand, when you make a donation, your picture is not there. And because they decided to spring this on us in real time, I wanted the Republicans to think about what could potentially happen, because I knew that they didn't even try to go through the FEC. So my team, what they did is they Googled. And that is specifically why I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies.
Oh, okay. So now that we all got a good laugh at that, we have the response from the brain trust at The View. One of them actually sounds reasonable. The one arguing not sounding reasonable, Sunny Hostin.
I mean, but also sex abuse of children.
When she said, my team looked into this quickly, when you're going to throw out an accusation that big, which we all know this case is that big. Yeah. Just own it, say it was a mistake, and move on, because to then try to say, well, they lie and we don't lie, again, it's the distrust in Congress and our politicians.
But the bottom line is, and you've said this before, Sarah, this is not a partisan issue. This is not a
right, but I'm speaking purely to don't sling an accusation out on the congressional floor and not dial it back quickly, abruptly say, I got it wrong, and move on, because it isn't political. It's criminal.
Well, I love the fact that she never did admit that she was wrong. She's like, no, I've got it right. That's exactly why I said some guy named Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, really? You didn't think we were talking about one specific Jeffrey Epstein? You didn't think a lot of people interpreted that? You don't think she meant that at the time? She thought, hey, maybe this is the real Jeffrey Epstein. But here is a fun back and forth here. This first soundbite, the first 50 seconds of this soundbite are going to be Sunny Hostin talking about the Epstein story a year ago. Joe Biden is still president, over a year ago. In 2024, Joe Biden is still president, and she doesn't seem to be very concerned. And then I'm going to play a cut from her this week talking about the exact same case.
People were dying for this information. There was some sort of list that everybody thought was going to come out, and who's on the list. What's important for us to note is we shouldn't be repeating names that are on the list, because just because your name has not on the list, but in the documents, just because your name is on the documents doesn't mean that you have done anything criminally irresponsible or illegal or civilly irresponsible.
Or that you were a client.
Or that you were a client. These documents, as I read them, only reflect Epstein's sexual assaults of women and his sexual behavior. So I think that...
And Ghislaine also?
And Ghislaine. And so being named in this suit does not equate to being accused of wrongdoing. And I think that is extremely important, because conspiracy theorists seem to not understand or enjoy facts.
Yes.
These are the facts.
Okay, so here it is, Sunny Hostin this week.
Is a list. Trump's name is on the logs, the passenger logs of Epstein's aircraft at least 7 times. That's already been made public. I mean, of course, Trump is denying any and all allegations, but all of that information is out there. Why not just put it to rest and say, release the list?
And then I am quite tired. You may be fatigued as well of whenever you make a good point, just being told, oh, he's lying, or they're lying, or you're lying, or they're always lying. It's like, no, you're going to actually have to defend your point.
It is shocking to me to see someone that holds the office of the presidency of the United States lie to the American people over and over.
Politicians
it should not be normal.
If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. If you like your health care plan, you can keep your health care plan.
lied to the American people over and over.
30 years ago, Nelson Mandela walked out of prison and entered into discussions about apartheid. I had the great honor of meeting him. I had the great honor of being arrested with our UN ambassador on the streets of Soweto trying to get to see him on Robbins Island.
Lied to the American people over and over.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never.
There it is. Isn't that fantastic? God, the internet never forgets. The Audiotron 3000 never forgets. Hey, you recognize the Pinocchio sound effect. Oh, my God. You give yourself a field goal for that one. Garrett, 3 points for yourself. He actually got the Pinocchio reference. I figured my Boomer and Gen Xer listeners would get that. Maybe a scant millennial disappearing over the horizon. What do you count as? Are you a millennial? Are you you're the oldest Gen Zer? See, that's weird because I think my oldest kid is the youngest Gen Zer, somewhere around there. If you already know what story I'm talking about and you already got an opinion, I'd be welcome to call into the show right now. But it starts from a montage that was released earlier this week by a bunch of elected Democrats who were saying, if you're in the military and you're in the intelligence agencies, you should refuse illegal orders.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow.
I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day
to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens.
Like us. You all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard
and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army,
or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Okay, so they didn't go into any specifics there, but clearly if they're going to be releasing a 90-second video with 6 sitting elected officials, they're kind of implying that the guy is putting out illegal orders. They're kind of implying that there's some stuff that's going on that you shouldn't be taking part in right now. Because they're not talking about the hypothetical concept of future illegal orders. They're clearly hinting that there are things going on right now. This guy is violating the Constitution. He's literally Hitler. So they are saying, hey, we're not going to say which ones, but, you know, and you can kind of draw conclusions here. There's a reason why they're so vague. Because what are they talking about? They could be talking about the Venezuelan boat strikes. They could be talking about the deployment of the National Guard in cities. They could be talking about any of these other 4,000 court cases that are going on. But they were intentionally vague. And that saves them from actually being traitors or seditious behavior. They didn't actually tell them to refuse orders from the commander-in-chief. They just said refuse unlawful orders, unconstitutional orders, which I guess, sure, right. You shouldn't litter in the park either. You shouldn't speed on the highway. Why are you saying this? But the response by Donald Trump
accused 6 Democratic lawmakers of seditious.
Hang on, I should set this up. The response by Donald Trump saying that this is seditious behavior. They should be hanged. Or he says punishable by death, if you want to quote him. Seditious behavior, punishable by death. He didn't call out anyone specific by name when he said that. But this was, she was asked about it. Carolyn Leavitt, the White House spokesperson, was asked about it in the press conference today. Her response?
Behavior punishable by death. Just to be clear, does the president want to execute members of Congress?
No. Let's be clear about what the president is responding to.
Can you just believe what a dumb question that is? Does the president want to execute members of Congress? What kind of hateful setup is that? You're implying that this is like worthy of discussion. Does that lady really think, seriously, if you sat her down in a room and you gave her like a truth serum shot in her arm and she couldn't lie, do you really think the president wants to execute members of Congress? She'd say, of course not. It's just something hyperbolic to say so we can give the anti-Trump fan fiction more food, more fuel for their fire. We're just ginning up hatred against Trump. We're taking everything he says to the most ridiculous, extreme interpretation, printing that as the headline, and freaking out a bunch of people in the process, because the more they stay freaked out, the more they'll hate the guy, the more that they will support us.
Because many in this room want to talk about the president's response, but not what brought the president to responding in this way. You have sitting members of the United States Congress who conspired together to orchestrate a video message to members of the United States military, to active duty service members, to members of the national security apparatus, encouraging them to defy the president's lawful orders. The sanctity of our military rests on the chain of command. And if that chain of command is broken, it can lead to people getting killed. It can lead to chaos. And that's what these members of Congress who swore an oath to abide by the Constitution.
All right, now her mistake there is she used the word lawful. They were specific. They were intentional. They were deliberate. They were smart to not say lawful, to be vague. And they were intentionally vague just so they could escape criticism, just so they could have their little freak out in return. Because here's the freak out in return. Chris Murphy out of Connecticut. This is his overreaction here.
The President of the United States just called for Democratic members of Congress to be executed.
No, he didn't.
This is not normal.
Look, he has the screen capture there, the screenshot of Donald Trump saying seditious behavior punishable by death. See, now just like y'all were saying, it is your duty to ignore unlawful orders. He is just saying a statement of fact, too. Seditious behavior is punishable by death. That's just a statement of fact. That's not saying we want Christopher Murphy to be executed. We want 6 Democrat congressmen to be executed. Stop it. Y'all are both being hyperbolic because you both want to paint your political opponents as evil or stupid or a combination of both. And you're both being silly now.
Cannot allow this to feel normal. This, as far as I know, has never happened before in the history of the country.
Well, it hadn't happened now either.
Every Democratic member of the Senate and the House, their life is in jeopardy.
No, it's not. You're not in any jeopardy. I love this fantasy that the left has to run around in fear because when they speak at colleges, they might get shot in the neck. Or if their political opponents get upset, they might riot and loot and burn down stores and throw bricks through windows. They might accost officers who are just trying to do their job, might chunk bricks at the moving vehicles of law enforcement. No, that's not what the Team Red's doing. That's what Team Blue's doing. None of y'all are in jeopardy. It's our presidential candidate that gets shot at. Charlie Kirk is one of ours. He got shot at. It's our churches that are getting shot at by people on your side, sir. We're not going into your spaces and opening fire. I just love how it's like, oh, this is so dangerous. This has never happened. Our life is in jeopardy right now. No, we're not the violent ones. We don't riot. We don't get violent. We don't shoot Dallas cops during our rallies downtown.
Right now, especially those that were specifically targeted by this social media post, Democratic senators and House members who were simply saying that no member of the military should act illegally or in violation of the Constitution.
Yeah, and he was just simply saying seditious behavior is punishable by death. That's all. Here's another one. Representative Jason Crow acting all verklempt and scared and like he's some sort of danger here.
This morning, President Donald Trump threatened to have me arrested and executed simply for reminding our...
No, he didn't. I'm already done with this guy. Kevin, North Richland Hills. You're on WBAP.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry. I'm going to dumb you up here, okay?
That's all right.
What is the definition of illegal orders in the military?
Things that are unconstitutional.
Okay.
So, like if Donald Trump told a soldier, "Hey, go shoot that American citizen that's just walking across Main Street here in downtown Dallas," that
okay. So you You got A+, okay?
Well, look, to be more specific, they didn't say this outright, but they were implying that an unlawful order could include the striking of the Venezuelan drug boats coming through the Caribbean. It could imply that the way they're being deployed in U.S. cities right now is somehow unlawful, or, the actions of the ICE officers, that there's some implications there, but there is such thing as an unlawful order.
Another A+, okay? You passed the test, and there wasn't any math involved.
Oh, was that it? I thought maybe you had a follow-up to that.
Well, actually, with all the drugs that are coming in into our territory, that's lawful. It's just this is a political game, okay? And I don't like the political games. It is what it is. And it's black and, well, there is some gray in there. But,
right.
No.
Kevin, I think we got it. I just got to run off and take a break. That was a good call. A viral video popped up, and I love these because I don't want to make fun of the guy. I don't want to slap him down. I don't want to call him stupid. But I do want to address, economically speaking, socially speaking, and from a point of view of statecraft, the points that this guy's making. He claims to be a farmer, I believe, in Carolina. And he's defending the illegal immigrant workers that are being deported.
I own a farm in North Carolina, and I can tell you for a fact that these raids will not make our state more safe, but they will make it more expensive, and it will be a stain on all of us. In May, when we start harvesting strawberries after the toll of deportation raids and the psychological trauma inflicted on the Latino communities continue to fester, farms like us aren't going to have our usual labor. We've already been told there's going to be a shortage. I spoke with one farmer who's posted locally for jobs harvesting produce for 10 years, and he's never had a local person apply. He doesn't even know what he's going to do next year. The people being rounded up are hardworking individuals, not criminals, and the blunt force tactics are only meant to make people afraid. They're not targeted. They're biased against people who don't look like me. Many of the people affected are working on our farms, building our houses, constructing our roads. They're the hardest working people I know. They're humble and kind with actual family values. I believe a day of reckoning will come, but unfortunately not just for the people perpetuating this awful tragedy, but for us as a country for letting it happen. Have the day you voted for.
Ooh, that was real emotional, buddy. I thought he was going to start off making a bunch of economic points, but then he's like, didn't they have real family values? Hardest working people I know. Unlike some. Easy. Let me concede the first point he's making. When he says getting rid of these people won't make us any safer, but it will make the prices go up. Okay, I don't know if it'll necessarily make us safer in the hinterlands of, rural North Carolina. But for the people who got run over last week in Fort Worth by an illegal immigrant, they would have been safer. For the guy that got his head sawed off at the motel in East Dallas last month, his life would have been a little bit safer. For the poor girl who lost her life because she got hit by a jet ski on Memorial Day weekend here in Dallas, her life would have been a little bit safer for her. It would have been safer for Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungree. But that aside, I will concede that prices probably will go up. But do you know how cheap prices are now for food? And you talk about how much they'll go up. This is one of the frustrating parts when people talk about food deserts. They're like, poor people are fat because they don't have access to healthy food. All they have is this dumb box stuff that they get at a Dollar General. And, the grocery store that was within walking distance closed. And so they don't have access to fresh produce. Bro, they are not in that position because they're not walking distance from an organic bell pepper. Do you know how cheap produce is? They're practically trying to give this stuff away because it's going to rot. Bananas are what, 68 cents a pound? You can't eat $5 worth of bananas in one sitting. But one meal from McDonald's costs $10. So yeah, prices will go up, but it's not going to be anything astronomical. And prices are going to go up because these people are going to have to be paid more. You're admitting that, right? That's where the price increase comes from. Is this the only arena where you people don't celebrate wage increases for the working class, for blue collar people? You know what they'll have to be paid? I know. Let's just throw this back at them. A living wage. Oh, my goodness. So when fast food workers and Starbucks baristas and all these other people who are currently on strike because they don't like their working conditions and they're not getting a big enough wage, having work conditions change so that the people who pick your food will be better paid, that's now a bad thing? Interesting. That's a selective concern there that I find quite suspicious, sir. And yeah, maybe our food prices do go up 5%. 10%, whatever. I would trade that. I think that's a good trade-off for closing the border and those jobs going to Americans of any race, of any skin tone, of any hair color or religion or whatever. This isn't a race thing, sir. And if you got to attack my family values or my work ethic or call me a racist to make your point, then you're not making an economic point anymore, because economics probably aren't on your side. I want to cap off the show with a few headlines here that they're disparate. They don't overlap. They have nothing in common other than the fact that they just make me feel better about the world. They're not all good stories either. Let's start with one that you can probably tell why I like this one. Saw this headline over at the Dallas Express, DallasExpress.com, the People's Paper. Logan Washburn wrote a beautiful story. It says, lightning strike disrupts DART service. God, did you do that for me, God? I think one of the most convincing arguments against an atheist is how much of a personality this world has. And so if God, the creator of the universe, has a personality, it shines through his creation on a regular basis. And I feel like he just did this for me. This morning about 9:30, there was a lightning strike, damaged some signal equipment at some station near downtown. And so they had to terminate service on the red and blue lines before it gets to downtown. A whole bunch of complaints on social media. Oh, I'm going to be late for work. Oh, you're costing me wages. Oh, I'm leaving on time, but now I'm going to get in trouble with work because of you people. I had to pull the emergency handle to open the door. All kinds of fun stuff. And this is in the middle of the discussion that's being had about DART living or dying. And this is being had in the middle of the discussion like, well, we've got to make all these improvements to DART. We're hosting World Cup games next year, and we've got to have DART or we're not going to be able to. Oh, hush. Stop it. I love the idea of like, well, how are we going to get people to the soccer games if we don't have DART? How about this? A car. Who would have guessed? It could be your car. It could be a rented car. It could be an Uber. You could carpool. It could be a taxi. Who knows? I'm willing to bet it's going to be a car. Not a whole lot of you can afford a helicopter now, can you? But that was the one headline that it warmed my heart. I feel like God did that for me. Also, I feel a little God's sense of humor in this headline from the AP. The final resting place for the set of the historic SS United States. It's an old battleship. The SS United States is to become an artificial reef off the coast of Florida. And I guess technically not a battleship. They call it an ocean liner. But it will become the world's largest artificial reef after it sunk off the coast of Florida next year. Now, that's kind of cool because it's almost 1,000 feet long, and it made its maiden voyage in 1952, so you know how old this is. And they've already scoured all the chemicals, the wiring, the plastics, the glass. So they sink this thing, and it becomes like a habitat for the ecology at the bottom of the ocean right off Okaloosa County, which is like Destin, Fort Walton, isn't it? Somewhere around there. But I really appreciate the metaphor it is. The SS United States is going to sink. And where's it going to sink? Off the coast of Florida. Kind of like the United States is a declining empire in its glory, golden days, right before the decline. And then the other story I like so much, I don't know why this one just makes me giggle, but there's a fella who was an Olympic snowboarder, a Canadian, for our Canadian friends out there. He was in the Olympics in 2002. And for something cool, snowboarding. Is there anyone cooler in the Winter Olympics than the snowboarders? Right. So after he got done with the 2002 Winter Olympics, he moved to Mexico and started running what officials describe as one of the world's most violent drug trafficking organizations. That's a lot less cool compared to snowboarding. From what I hear, though, he wears the same ski jacket he wore in the Olympics, except this time he keeps the powder on the inside. See what I did there? All right, if you haven't looked out a window in a while, you may want to check the weather before you get in your car again. I recommend WBAP.com. The WBAP app has some good weather stuff on it. Follow us on social media. I see what you people click like on Facebook and Twitter. A lot of y'all follow us there. WBAP is very helpful in times like this. Be safe out there. Check the weather. If it's not already bad, it's about to get bad. Stick around. Coming up next, the great one, Mark Levin. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.